discussing the cornerbacks again, pretty clear top guys, right? Byron Murphy, DeAndre Baker, Greedy Williams.
Yeah.
I think however we end up ranking them, it's definitely all scheme-based. Mm-hmm. They're all different. Greedy, press man. I think Baker can do a little bit of both. Byron Murphy, outstanding in zone, off situations.
Yeah.
Do we just have to lump them together?
I don't know.
Just because, I mean, they're going to end up with similar draft grades. I'm not saying they have to be all back-to-back, but they're going to be in the similar range,
I'm comfortable
right?
putting them all in the top 10, to be honest. I like all of them.
Let's just go for now.
I'll put them over there.
I don't mind putting them in a row, but then we can resort.
Yeah, we'll see.
So hold on a second. Before I go, using positional value again, the DIs probably have to follow the corners. Because then our top 10 is sitting there with, we got a couple QBs, we got Quinnen, generational DI.
Yeah.
2 edges we feel pretty good about. 3 corners we generally feel good about in the right schemes. Tillery or Simmons better be creating insane pressure to be above the corners.
So it goes back to the thing though, like the corner better be also, cornerback's valuable, but an average cornerback is not that valuable because you need to be above average in coverage.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they're definitely harder to project, so that whole debate is always a tough one.
It's so tough because like these aren't perfect corners. Like Byron Murphy, I feel like has the best in terms of like I feel safest about. He's like only a redshirt sophomore to be doing that. At his age, with his athleticism, I feel very comfortable about him translating the next level. Greedy, he can press, but I mean, off coverage is not nearly as smooth.
Right.
His ball skills weren't awesome.
I was impressed with some of the stuff. So what I didn't like about him in 2017 is he'd lose late at the catch point more than I like to see. And that's not the contested catch.
His ball skills aren't great.
Yeah. But as far as like size, speed, get up in your face and erase some routes, he's going to do that better than anybody in the class. Does anything else look like guys need to move up? Like now that you're seeing the way the board's shaping up, the tackles that you've looked at, do you feel like any of those guys need to move?
I'm comfortable with Dillard, Taylor in this mix of right here.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with Burns, Polite in the mix here. That next group of D tackles is pretty. There's a gap between Tiller, Simmons, and then that next group in my eyes.
I agree with that. Well, so let's discuss receiver really quick because this was on Zach's general projection and suggestion. Didn't love anybody. I find it interesting that the guys he likes the most were the guys that didn't produce as much in the system.
Wide receiver, obviously one position where the grade is not going to be 1-to-1.
Well, I don't mind putting guys that don't have great grades if we like them on film. And when they did have opportunities, they performed well. And Metcalf, not to use upside, but man, in the right role. Keep comparing him to Martavis Bryant, and we've seen Josh Gordon comparisons, and I don't hate that.
I know he pushed them all down low. I would sway more to pushing a little up with the top group. Metcalf up. I like Arcega-Whiteside. I'm coming around to your side on him.
Yep.
Up in the first.
AJ?
That whole group, all to Deebo Samuel, to be honest, towards the end of the first conversation. Okay. I like all those guys.
And then
truthfully,
Zach didn't love Harmon.
No, I don't either. I don't like Harry or Harmon, to be honest, like that much. They're a group below the others.
See, I'm interested in the comp that you put in your notes for Harry, though, and the one that he used. You said Brandon Marshall.
I did.
And I know it's not this 1-to-1, he's going to produce exactly like him, but that catches the eye a little bit. And I forget who, I think he said Alshon Jeffrey or?
I would actually put Hakeem Butler over Harry. And Butler actually reminded me more of Marshall when I watched him.
Yeah.
The big difference between him and Marshall that I thought Butler had, Harry didn't, was like physical on the routes.
Yeah,
so
he
like
was
within the route.
Yeah.
Like on the breaks. Like, yes, maybe you're not going to separate vertically, but on the break of a route, you got to use that size that you have. Harry doesn't nearly as much.
The thing with Butler, I watched a couple, he just doesn't get in and out of his routes very well. But his body control is fantastic with a bigger frame than all these guys.
Yeah, he's enormous.
Like, he knows how to box guys out and shield. And I know Arcega-Whiteside knows how to too, but like Butler was... Arcega-Whiteside would kind of like legitimately post up, whereas like Butler's got a little bit more fluidity, like going up to get it, I think. And
I like Arcega-Whiteside.
I don't want to say that. They both do.
I like Arcega-Whiteside's release is better than all the other big receivers.
Yeah.
He just gets off quick.
Zach said Des Bryant-ish as far as monster after the catch, faster with the ball in his hands for Harry.
Yeah.
Which I kind of agree with too, but if he's not going to get open. So the thing about separating wide receivers and corners, there's just so many different styles. Like even at edge, you don't have different styles. You have guys that can rush the passer or can't. Guys that can play the run or can't. The only difference you have is different size. With receiver and corner, you have styles and
you kind of
scheme
sometimes
fits.
have guys who can play over the tackle versus guys who have to
so
wide.
Offensive tackle, there's not a huge difference in style, right? You either can play or you can't, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
All offensive lines pretty much that. Linebacker for the most part.
But yeah, CB, wide receiver, so much going to be dependent on what kind of scheme you want to run.
Yeah.
Where they're going to.
So that's why I think for the big board exercises, I feel like every year there's a ton of second and third round guys that we have that get dependent on the team, they're first rounders or they're fourth rounders.
Right.
So I don't mind lumping, not putting them all in a row on the board, but lumping them.
Yeah. Because it's like if Michael Thomas goes to the Jets, you think Michael Thomas putting up any sort of numbers with the Jets? It's like so much of that is where you're going to be used.
All right. So generally speaking, this look at wide receiver okay for you?
Yeah.
For now?